Russia has sharply escalated its criticism of France over the detention of the tanker Tagor, accusing Paris of violating international maritime law and using sanctions enforcement as a pretext to expand its authority on the high seas. The latest confrontation follows France's interception of the vessel in the Atlantic Ocean, more than 400 nautical miles off the coast of Brittany. But for Moscow, the issue is no longer just about a tanker. Russia says the incident exposes a broader pattern of what it calls Europe's selective interpretation of international law.
The French authorities' statements that their actions were allegedly carried out in accordance with international law are yet another example of European legal nihilism and the rewriting of norms for their own benefit.
In a strongly worded statement, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova argued that while international maritime law allows warships to stop and inspect vessels under limited circumstances, it does not permit forcibly rerouting a ship from international waters and escorting it to a port. Moscow says France exceeded the authority granted under international conventions and is attempting to justify its actions through sanctions that Russia does not recognize as legally binding.
International treaties do not provide for the possibility of forcibly rerouting a vessel and escorting it from the high seas to a port of the warship's country.
France, however, has defended the operation. President Emmanuel Macron said the vessel was suspected of operating under a false flag and linked the interception to wider efforts against Russia's so-called shadow fleet, which Western governments accuse of helping Moscow evade sanctions and finance its war in Ukraine.
It is unacceptable for ships to circumvent international sanctions, violate the law of the sea, and finance the war that Russia has been waging against Ukraine for more than 4 years.
Russia rejects that argument, insisting only sanctions approved by the UN Security Council qualify as international measures. Framing the dispute as a test of freedom of navigation and the limits of sanctions enforcement, Moscow has accused France and Britain of setting a dangerous precedent that could have wider consequences for global shipping and international maritime order.